back on the bench.
Yeah.
It's almost like a long shot, right? Am I remembering it right? And you just see him.
Ted Melfi wrote the script, great screenwriter, and he didn't. There's not a ton that's still from the original. I mean, other than the concept of three seniors who were sort of fucked over by society and by the system, go rob a bank. And ours was able to fold in all this, current day conversation about, corporations, canceling pensions and the bank has their money and they don't want to steal a dime more than the pension that's owed to them. And
right.
It was great, man. I got to make a big ass action heist movie in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and I think it's really funny.
But was the experience? I mean, it's a lot to manage, I guess. But the experience of shooting your own movies, I guess you just sort of keep your cool and you've got your DP and you focus on what needs to be done. It's all about the sort of community that you build around the production, right?
Right, and taking one day at a time because you can't. If you think about making a big action movie with three seniors in the height of summer in Manhattan, it is impossible if you look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
We have, everywhere Morgan Freeman walks, there's paparazzi following him and fans. And so it's advanced filmmaking, making an action movie in Manhattan in the summer with celebrities.
Right.
So you just got to go, okay, what is today? And you put blinders on. Okay, fuck. And then now what is this morning?
Right.
And if you just keep making it smaller, and if you ignore the fact that you have a huge crew and ignore the fact that you have celebrities, and you just go, okay, this morning we're going to make a short film, and the short film is called This Scene, and that's how you kind of got to. That's how I approach it. I just kind of
like applied OCD. That's like
exactly small. Yeah, it's ritual to make it handleable.
Right. Exactly. I did watch the new movie, The Comeback Trail.
Yeah.
And is that based on another movie?
Very loosely. George Gallo, who made Midnight Run and is sold more screenplays than anybody in Hollywood, is sort of an action comedy writing legend.
Yeah.
Saw years and years ago at a festival, he saw like a super low budget version of the concept of this.
Right.
And said to himself, man, this is not well executed, but what a concept. And it always stuck with him. And he went on and had years and years of his career, and then ran into the widow of the man who'd made the film randomly. And said, "Oh my God, I never stopped thinking of that film. Do you mind? Would you honor with me with the rights so I could write a sort of big budget action comedy version of it?" And she said, "I'd be honored." So he did just that, and then he cast Robert De Niro, Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, and me. Shockingly, so that's what this is. This is something I've never really done, which was to be cast. I did the TV show forever. I've done my own films. I've done some smaller films.
Yeah,
I've never been like in a big movie where I'm one of the lead. I mean, it's basically me and De Niro through most of the movie, as you saw.
Right. And now, was that something you didn't go out for it? That was offered to you?
No, George really liked me as an actor and liked my stuff, and I got a call one day saying George Gallo wants to meet you at his house and talk about this script. And I was like, go on. They're like, yeah, De Niro's attached, and just read it. And I would have ran over there if it was two scenes.
Yeah.
It's one scene. But I'm flipping through the script and I'm on fucking every other page. And I'm like, are you sure this is the character?
Right.
So they said, yeah. And I said, do I have to read? I'll read. As an actor, you're like, this is a big part with De Niro. I'll audition for this if they want me. Like, no, he just wants to talk to you. Went over his house, cracked up, made him laugh, start talking about movies, start talking about Hollywood. And he goes, look, I want you to do it. The only thing you got to do is, look, Bob happens to be in town, and I know you met Bob. I had met Bob socially once or twice. But,
yeah.
He said, Bob just kind of wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So I go and meet Bob for coffee, and I'm so fucking nervous. My palms are sweating thinking about it. And I don't know what's going to happen. And he just he's like, he had met before. Actually, he knew Jessica because Jessica Kirsten, all circles back to Jessica, was his advisor, coach for the comedian movie.
Comedian, yeah.
And so we talked about Jessica. We talked about.
Did he know that going into it though, or did you tell him that? Oh,
yeah.
He knew. Yeah.
He knew. Well, that was my ace in the hole. I was gonna be like, hey, we've met before, but Jessica, Jessica has become like his good buddy. They've stayed friendly. So anyway, couldn't have gone better. We laugh, we shoot the shit, and then as we're walking out, he goes, "All right, well, I'll see you on set." And I was like, "Holy shit! I think I just got this big ass movie." So we go down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and
that's where I grew up.
Really? Hmm? It's quite a place.
People, I don't know that people always get the best impression of it.
I didn't necessarily have the best impression of it. I think it's felt like it was on hard times.
It's a little beat up, yeah. So you shot the whole movie in New Mexico?
Yeah, whole film shot in New Mexico, and it was a blast. And I got to know him and work with him, and really had to give myself pep talk after pep talk. Like, dude, you cannot be intimidated by this being De Niro. Like, you have to. I don't know if that's ever happened to you when you're working with someone you really admire, and you kind of like pretend this is somebody that's not a living legend. It's
weird. I did one scene with him in The Joker, and but I was on set for like a week, watching him. But I had one walk and talk and a scene with him.
Yeah, I remember.
I know he became very human to me very quickly. I maybe it's just because I interview so many people, but like I definitely within a half an hour I'm like, oh, this is this guy Robert De Niro. He's the greatest actor ever, but this is who he is now, and this is his process. Is what's very sort of humanizing in my very brief experience with him, anyways, was to just sort of watch his process at this point, like because you make all these assumptions about somebody's process when you watch their movies growing up, but, as an older actor, what it takes for him to get the stuff in his head and the kind of the process of that, you're like, you really you start to see him, or I did anyways, as a guy who does the job and he's the guy, Didn't that happen?
Yeah. I think he was I think people can't imagine how I found him very shy.
Very.
And I was with him for a whole movie. So every day on a graph, I could feel him warming up to me. By the end, we were texting each other and sending each other funny shit on the internet. Yeah. And I've been to dinner at his house since, and now we become friendly. But I was taken aback by how he would be sitting off in his chair, not really talking to anyone, reading a book or on his phone. And then he'd come to set and he'd call action, and there was De Niro, and he'd come to life, and he was intense, and he was amazing and brilliant and going for it and saying, keep the camera rolling, I want to go again. And then they go cut, and he'd kind of just quietly go back to his chair and pick up his book. And I was surprised by that he wasn't like, he was quiet and shy.
But it is true, the way those guys can turn it on and the control they have over, I've become very aware of people's faces. Guys that are great at it have this amazing consciousness of their face.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I think what a lot of film actors who aren't great at it don't know is that so many times we as directors just need a shot of you looking out the window.
Reacting.
I just need, you're trying to do too much. My girlfriend and I watched, lots of films and TV, and we're saying to each other like, oh, I wish someone had told him or her to just do less, because you can tell the person has talent, but they haven't been directed to trust that the camera's going to take them 75% of the way there.
She's an actress, right?
Yes, she's Florence Pugh. She's a phenomenal actress.
What did I just see her in?
She just did Little Women.
Oh, yeah. She's great, yeah.
And she's the co-star with Scarlett Johansson in the new Black Widow movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
She's doing well.
Good, man. Well, that was great seeing you in the movie. Fun movie.
Thank you.
What's amazing? You know who's like really kind of like surprising in that movie in a way is he's always good, but Tommy Lee Jones, I mean that part was like, he's one of those guys where, you put the camera on him and he knows exactly how to play it with the face,
Yeah. He has such a face. He's one of those guys where you look at Tommy Lee Jones in person and you go, okay, that's Tommy Lee Jones. I know that's what he looks like. And then you look at the monitor when he's on screen and you're just like, holy shit, that's a movie star. He's got movie star face, you know?
Yeah.
With that talk about facial expressions.
Right. And even but De Niro too, but like De Niro's playing this kind of schleppy guy, which I like to see him do. But there's a couple of monologues in there when that scene between you, the three of you, when he opens up on Tommy Lee and tells him like, you know, what he's going to do. Like, you're not going to kill yourself. You're going to go to bed. That whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, watching. I'm there. I'm blessed enough to be sitting there watching
in the middle of it.
I'm literally in the middle watching Tommy Lee Jones and De Niro scream at each other. I mean, it's my dream come true. I can't believe it. And how about that scene in the hospital where I have to berate and slap De Niro? I mean, that was one of the coolest things I ever did in my career. I mean, that was one of the big ones I gave myself a pep talk to. Like, I know this is De Niro, and I know that you're going to slap him across the face and scream at him, but you just got to pretend this is John Smith actor and do not be in your head about it. Because then De Niro is going to react to me, and it's like playing tennis. He's going to rise to the occasion, you know?
Right. And how many times did you have to do it?
Oh, I did. We did that scene for all day. Yeah. All
right.
Day.
Yeah. See.
But it's the first scene in the movie where he's watching me.
Right.
I'm driving that scene, and I was just like, I wanted Bob to be proud of me. I was not going to fucking leave anything on the floor. You know?
Yeah. Was he?
Oh yeah, he's in his own little way, a little pat on the back. Like, good work.
Because it's interesting too. I guess working with those guys, it's like they've worked with dozens of young actors in all different types of parts. They've seen them come and go, and they're like the mountain, and then they see these guys come up the mountain. So it must have been a really
I wanted
exciting.
I wanted his approval so badly. I wanted him to think I was good.
It sounds like he did. Sounds like you guys are friends. Did.
Yeah. I think he
did. I think if he didn't like your work, he wouldn't have you at the house for dinner.
No, you don't have a bad actor over for dinner. Come on.
All right, buddy. Well, it was great talking to you,
man. Thank you so much. It's an honor, man. I really love your work, and I love your podcast, and I just think you're a really special human being, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, I appreciate you doing it. What's your podcast called again?
My podcast is called Fake Doctors, Real Friends, and it's me and Donald rewatching Scrubs and telling old stories.
Oh, that's the new racket to get you guys can't have the rights to Scrubs, but you can tell the stories.
You can tell all the stories, and you can more importantly, we use the episodes as a guide. It's kind of perfect for us because neither one of us are stand-ups or anything. But if we have the material to reference of a half hour of comedy, we can reference those jokes, but then go off on these long-ass tangents about other shit, and it's perfect
great.
for us. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, best of luck with it, man.
All right. Thank you.
It was great seeing you.
Thanks, Marc.
Take it easy.
All right. Bye.
That was fun, right, Zach? Touching, nice, good talk, good guy, decent fella. All right, he's in The Comeback Trail with Robert De Niro, Tommy Lee Jones, and Morgan Freeman. Sometime next year, you'll see that movie. He hosts the podcast Fake Doctors, Real Friends, and you can get that wherever you get podcasts. And don't forget, if you're feeling depressed, overwhelmed, or anxious, BetterHelp offers licensed online counselors who are trained to listen and help. Talk with your counselor in a private online environment at your convenience. Just fill out a questionnaire to assess your specific needs, then get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. BetterHelp is an affordable option, and for WTF listeners, you get 10% off your first month with the discount code WTF. Get started today at betterhelp.com/WTF. Talk to a therapist online and get help. Okay? All right. Let's play a little.